On his wedding day, Jerome sat and watched other men dance with his wife. Jerome Felder, overweight and crippled, married Willie Burke, a beautiful dancer and actress, on his 41st birthday, June 27, 1957. Jerome had contracted polio as a child and had walked on crutches for many years, but due to post-polio syndrome, by the time of his wedding, he was in a wheelchair full time. The reception was held at New York's Luxor's Deli, where after the meal, tables were pushed aside to set up a makeshift dance floor. When Willie was asked to dance, she thoughtfully declined, saying she'd rather sit and watch with her husband. But Jerome insisted, so Willie danced, and Jerome pretended to enjoy watching his wife dance with other men. He pretended not to feel jealous, inadequate, and insecure. There was a stray wedding invitation on the table in front of Jerome. He picked it up, turned it over, and, as he watched Willie dance, began writing a lover's plea, tinged with self-doubt. "You can dance every dance with the guy who gave you the eye," he wrote. "Let him hold you tight. You can smile every smile for the man who held your hand beneath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're going to be. So darling, save the last dance for me." Ladies and gentlemen, The Drifters.
You can dance every dance with the guy who gives you the eye. Let him hold you tight. You can smile every smile for the man who held your hand beneath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me.
The Drifters' version of Save the Last Dance for Me spent 3 weeks at number 1 on the US pop chart in 1960, 3 years after Jerome Felder's wedding. Felder, better known by his professional and stage name Doc Pomus, provided, of course, the heartfelt lyrics, and his longtime collaborator Mort Schumann wrote the melody. Save the Last Dance for Me was later covered by Dolly Parton, Emmylou Harris, European pop star Dalida, and our old friend Michael Bublé. Doc Pomus grew up in Brooklyn, the son of immigrants, and became a fan of the blues after hearing this.
Well, I've been to Kansas City, yeah, and everything is really alright. Yes, I've been to Kansas City, yeah, and everything is really alright.
That was Big Joe Turner singing Piney Brown Blues. Jerome heard that and thought, this is the way a man should sound. He decided to become a blues singer. That's when he adopted his stage name, the Doc in honor of old-time blues singer Dr. Clayton, and the Pomus just because it sounded good to him, Doc Pomus. Doc began performing in blues clubs, crutches and all. He made a few recordings as well, and seemed poised for a breakout hit. But when record companies discovered that Doc was a 30-something, overweight, disabled Jewish guy on crutches, they lost interest. At this point, Doc realized that his future was not as a singer, but as a songwriter. He teamed up with a fellow blues lover 10 years his junior, Mort Schumann. There's Schumann on the piano with Pomus looking on. Schumann focused on music and Doc on words, and the formula worked. Pomus and Schumann wrote hit after hit for Bobby Darin, Fabian, Frankie Avalon, Andy Williams, the Everly Brothers, Bobby Vinton, and Elvis Presley, among many others. The Schumann-Pomus team lasted for a decade, until 1965, when Schumann moved to Paris. Pomus continued working as a songwriter for a few more years, but in the late 1960s, the new artists arriving on the rock and roll scene, such as the Beatles and Bob Dylan, wrote their own songs, and demand for Pomus's work dried up. He ended up making a living as a gambler, and died in 1991 of lung cancer at age 65. There is some controversy about exactly when Pomus wrote Save the Last Dance for Me. Everyone agrees that Pomus wrote it on the back of an invitation to his wedding. Everyone also agrees that the subject of the song is his wife dancing with other men during his wedding reception. But while some credible sources maintain that, as I described earlier, he wrote it while he watched Willie dance with other men on that day, others say he wrote it months or even years later, reflecting on that day. Regardless though, Doc Pomus's marriage to Willie Burke was bookended by two of his compositions. Save the Last Dance for Me marked its beginning. 8 years into their marriage, Willie asked Doc for a divorce. Pondering a life without Willie, Doc wrote this song, marking the marriage's end.
Guess there's no use in hanging round. Guess I'll get dressed and do the town. I'll find some crowded avenue, though it will be empty without you. Can't get used to losing you, no matter what I try to do. Gonna live my whole life through loving you.
That was Andy Williams performing one of his biggest hits, Can't Get Used to Losing You, lyrics by Doc Pomus. I'll leave you with a full version of the Drifters performing Save the Last Dance for Me over the closing credits, so you can put the words into their true, angst-ridden context. I'm Jack Azout. Thank you for watching.
You can dance, every dance with the guy who gives you the eye, let him hold you tight. You can smile, every smile for the man who held your hand neath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. Oh, I know that the music's fine, like sparkling wine. Go and have your fun. Laugh and sing, but while we're apart, don't give your heart to anyone. But don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. Baby, don't you know I love you so? Can't you feel it when we touch? I will never, never let you go. I love you oh so much. You can dance, go and carry on till the night is gone and it's time to go. If he asks, if you're all alone, can he take you home? You must tell him no. 'Cause don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. Cause don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me.